It's a dramatic true crime series on A&E looking at the legal process as it unfolds for people facing trial for some very serious crimes.
I try to keep positivity in my life, but I'm broken. I'm broken.
The next episode of Accused, Guilty or Innocent, airing Thursday night, focuses on a shooting in Chicago. John Brown was arrested and charged, but claims he was attacked with a hammer before reaching for his weapon. The show follows the process as a jury decides if Brown was the aggressor or was this a case of self-defense? Joining me live now here in studio is Edward Johnson. You are a defense attorney and you're featured in this episode. Thanks for being with us here the day after Thanksgiving.
Thanks.
Yes.
It's great being here.
Yes,
Awesome.
It's really interesting to talk about this. There's so many cases that could have been featured. Why would you say this is being featured? What do you think stood out about this case?
This was one of those tough cases where we're dealing with a self-defense shooting of a woman, but what was really important, and I think what A&E liked it, is that it was going to a jury trial. This wasn't something where it was pleading out or they were going to talk with the judge about a trial. This was, we're picking 12 people and they were going to decide John Brown's fate.
Wow. And what was it like for you to have cameras documenting this trial? I mean, what was that experience like?
It feels a little bit about like this, but it was a lot of work. There was serious benefits and risks to doing it. You don't always want to necessarily film that process, but we talked with the client and we figured that the benefits outweighed the risks.
I know there's, such a vulnerability in going deeper into the story, right? You could see him walking around, kind of telling more of his story, a behind the scenes look at things. What stood out to you about this process so far?
Well, it's really obvious when you watch is how the impact really comes on everybody involved. His family, his mother, his dad, everyone is rooting for John, but it just wears on him as the trial goes on. The anxiety builds up, the pressure sets in, and we're in the middle of it. And I think you're going to have to stay tuned to see what happens, but anytime you pick a jury, there's risks and there's certain things you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and of course there's the stigma around a suspect, right? Innocent until proven guilty, but so often there's so much associated with that suspect and those charges. Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, that stigma is there. It's right in front of your face, and that's our job as attorneys, and especially for my firm, is we try to attack that and work with any negative press that someone's dealing with and explain that to the jury. It's super important that we get rid of that stigma and make sure it's fair.
It's always interesting to have a local firm or a local tie to a story that's going to be seen nationally. You grew up in the west suburbs and your firm is here in the city, right?
Yes, we're in Pilsen. We got a big building called Pilsen East Center. I grew up in the suburbs and really connected to Chicago. I love it, and we really got some good footage on the show with the drone, so you get to see a couple stadiums and the whole city, and it's great.
I know, that's always interesting to see the Chicago touches and the little bit. Anything else that I missed that you think is important or interesting to mention ahead of this episode?
I would say stay tuned. It's where we pick a jury. It really goes down there. We investigate these witnesses. Some didn't show up. So it really comes down to the wire, and you got to watch to see what happens.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Attorney Edward Johnson. We appreciate you being with us this morning for talking us a little bit through this show, Accused, Guilty or Innocent, A&E, next Thursday, 9 o'clock.
Stay tuned. Thanks.
All right. Thank you for being here.